and she's so weak-kneed that she prosecuted one case and lost. So we've started sending everything to the county attorney, who is competent, whereas the Attorney General is not competent.
Well, all right, and let's wrap up. Just get your thoughts on this latest fight between Tom Horn, Chris Mays over ESAs and vouchers. This seems like the never-ending fight, and it's just everybody's saying, no, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong. It's like that meme with the Spider-Man all pointing at each other.
The superintendent of personality over there, I mean, he went and called the AG incompetent, which I thought was a little unfair. You pointed out that she is investigating these things. She knows how to do oversight. His office should follow suit, so we'll see that fight continue. But I didn't think that was a clean take on his part.
What's in a name, who ordered the hit, and horse medicine for humans. This is your weekly political roundup. The Clean Elections Commission is suing Secretary of State Adrian Fontes over a name change. This comes after the No Labels Party switched its name to the Arizona Independent Party. Fontes stands by his decision to approve the name change, but the commission said it will confuse the voters. Lawmakers are gearing up for a new year and started pre-filing some bills. One proposal wants to make it easier to buy the horse dewormer ivermectin over the counter. Some people insist it can be used to treat COVID and other ailments. Military leaders briefed lawmakers on Capitol Hill about a second strike on a suspected drug boat off the coast of Venezuela. After the meeting, Republicans defended the action, while one Democrat called it one of the most troubling things he's ever seen. A Republican congressman moonlighting as an Arizona candidate for governor backed a bill to exclude all non-citizens from the U.S. Census. Andy Biggs supports it, even if it means losing political power in our nation's capital. And finally, Governor Hobbs said she won't hand the Trump administration any information on people getting food stamps here. The White House has threatened to withhold funding for states that refuse.
And it's time to bring in our panel, Republican consultant Marcus Dellartino and Democratic consultant Matt Grodsky. Thank you both for being here. Let's start with you, Marcus. It's that time of year. We're starting to see some bills being pre-filed. One's getting a lot of attention is would make ivermectin available over the counter, and not just for horses. How do you expect this bill is going to go? Because you remember during COVID, it became kind of a popular thing with a lot of people insisting that it was a way to treat that ailment. And some people even today say it's a useful medication for other things that ail them.
Yeah. I think it's going to go about like 90% of the bills this session. It'll probably get out of the legislature and go up to the governor's desk and get a veto on it. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think who cares? If you want to take this medicine, go to it. I don't have to take it. I think it's up to the consumer, and it's a personal choice of whether you believe in it or not. I happen to have friends that have taken it and swear by it. It's not my cup of tea, but to each his own.
Yeah, to be clear, it has not been approved by the FDA for these types of uses, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I think most voters want us to deworm the legislature at this point. It's nice to see us focusing on the problems that really impact Arizonans with, you know, affordability where it's at. So, yeah, I agree with Marcus. I think if you want to take it, knock yourself out. I don't think it's the top priority most people are focused on.
Yeah, well, what kind of bills do you expect to see a lot of this year? We're starting to already see some election-related bills that are being filed down at the Capitol. You expect to see a lot more of those?
Yeah, election-related bills. I think obviously the ongoing fight with ESA stuff, and then, you know, we'll see what happens with housing if that pops up again.
And what are you expecting there, Marcus? I mean, you're talking to people all the time. You've been down there even longer than I have, I believe. What's people telling you? I know.
Well, first of all, we're going to have water bills. We know that. We've already seen them drop. But the one that I don't think anybody's really paying attention to is data center bills. And I think we're going to have pro-data center bills and anti-data center bills, and just beating the tar out of each other down there on that issue that we're not really focused on.
And some of the contention there when you start talking about the data centers and building, and people want that, but there's also a concern that that's going to make energy costs a lot more expensive, correct?
Yes.
And, you know, I mean, is that something you think, given what you've seen out of the governor's office, is that legislation you think this governor would sign?
I think there's a path there on some of these things. I think the idea of data centers are popular, but people are obviously concerned about resources. I think if you're Democrats, you can talk about those two things, and I'm confident that there's actually going to be some wiggle room with folks across the aisle on those types of issues.
Just so people understand this, the average ChatGPT search takes 7 times more power than your Google search. So with this being the new economy. It's a real issue, and I think part of this is if people really want to be looking forward is expanding Palo Verde.
And you know, heading into the election year, as we just said, we probably see a lot of election bills, but we have a fight going on right now. You got the Citizens Clean Elections Commission. They're suing Secretary of State Adrian Fontes because he is allowing a name change, that the former No Labels Party is now going to be called the Arizona Independent Party. Clean Elections is saying, like, you can't do that. That's going to confuse the voters. How is this lawsuit going to play out?
Oh, God, you want me to predict what a judge is going to rule? Let me talk about the politics of what's going on here, because this lawsuit's been a while in the making, and I think everybody knew it was coming. But there is a rumor out there that the Independent Party has a candidate for governor. I have no idea who it is, but that they have that candidate. This would wreak havoc in the governor's race for Katie Hobbs, because, one, it will create confusion, number one, and two, I think it will draft significantly into the voter base that she needs to win. Yeah,
and you've worked with Fontes on his campaign, so we have got to disclose that straight
still
up.
Still working there, so.
Yeah, yes. Still working there. And so why would he do this if there's so much concern over confusing the voters? Because I can see that. The problem is like if you think you're a party not designated, and you're with and you sign up with the Independent Party and you think that's what it means, you could be frozen out of the primary elections that you want to vote in, either the Democrat or the Republican Party.
Well, I think the answer is super simple. He had to follow the law. That's what he was advised to do, and he did it, right? I know that, you know, some folks on the right, that's a questionable thing these days to follow rules, but he did that. You know, if people are confused, it's going to be incumbent on counties and elected officials to educate them. It doesn't do anything if you're currently, you know, an unaffiliated voter. You're under no obligation to go and register with that party. You can stay exactly where you're at, and there's no problem.
But there's a lot of pressure building up against this, because I believe all but one Arizona County recorder has expressed concern about this.
Yeah, I think that's valid, but I think we got to explain to the viewers a little bit of the technicalities here. This is that if I'm registered as a PND, party not declared, I can then go to my county recorder and request either a Republican ballot or a Democratic ballot in that primary. If I am an Arizona registered independent voter, I will only receive a ballot for that party.
And I think the other thing that we should be extra clear on, and the Secretary certainly has been, he's going to do whatever the litigation comes out and tells him to do, right? So if this lawsuit is successful and they're like, hey, you can't do that, you know, go back to the way it was, you know, he's not going to die on a hill for this. He's just following the rules. So.
And we're running kind of short on time, but I do want you to wrap on this. How could this play havoc in the governor's race come November if the Arizona Independent Party name is allowed to stay?
Well, I think you know, independents are going to play a huge role in this election, and that's the group that everybody's going after, even despite the fact that Republican voter registration continues to climb and Democrats really need to close that gap, and so far there's zero evidence that that's happening. But those independents need to join the Democrats then to make up that significant voter gap, and this would cause enough confusion within those independents that they may either not vote or more likely vote for the Republican.
All right, we're going to have to wrap right there for this segment. But when we come back, we'll talk about Mark Kelly fighting back over threats of a Pentagon investigation. That's next on Politics Unplugged. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for not running out the door. So we're seeing more information about that so-called double tap strike on a boat off the coast of Venezuela. This boat was suspected to be loaded up with drugs. There have been a lot of questions about a second follow-up strike against two apparent survivors of the first attack. Democrats are concerned it could be a war crime. Republicans, after seeing some more unedited version of this, are backing the administration in their decision to call for that second strike. What are you making out of all
I
this?
think war crimes are generally frowned upon, so not a great look for the administration. They're taking a lot of losses week to week, right? So I think what you're going to have to see, are Republicans going to, you know, circle around the president and back him, or are they going to pick their battles on places where they think they can actually have a winning message? Because we're starting to see things turn a little bit as we head into the election year. So, and I'd be interested to see if Hegseth has a job in the next few weeks.
And it's interesting, the timing of this whole thing. I mean, there's no indication that Mark Kelly knew about this before news of this broke. But remember, a couple of weeks ago, Kelly found himself in some hot water with the administration because he joined a group of 5 other Democrats reminding members of the military that they don't have to follow illegal orders. This past week, Kelly is basically, fighting back against the administration, saying they're not going to silence him.
Yeah, I mean, big shocker. I mean,
Yeah.
And his point is like, I'm an astronaut, I'm a vet, I've been in battle, in war, so you're not going to intimidate me. And so I'm not shocked by that statement.
All this is doing is just raising his profile on a national level.
Right, big miscalculation on the administration's end. And I think if they're going to double down on it, like Hegseth coming out with a report supposedly in the next couple of weeks or whatever, I just think it's more quicksand for him. So I guess go for it, but not going to end well.
I do think politically that it was probably thought out on his behalf before he did his first press conference that this might be a way to be a valid VP candidate or maybe run for president. But I do think that there was some calculus in his first statement. Okay,
sticking with stuff going on in Congress, we saw Andy Biggs supported a bill to exclude all non-citizens in the U.S. Census. But if that happens, it could cost Arizona a congressional seat. What's the calculation behind all this?
Well, it can't go worse than the last census for Arizona, for God's sakes.
Yeah, well,
look, if Arizonans don't realize this, but we were due 2 congressional seats. We got. It was a terrible job done. So. This bill, I think, even if this bill were to pass and be signed by the President of the United States and become law, we will still be well ahead of where we were coming out of the last census.
Yeah, and if he's fine with us getting less resources because we have another undercount, I mean, fine. It just goes to show more extreme Republicans are like, hey, I just don't want to give my state anything. We're going to make sure that affordability is through the roof. And, it's fine for me, but not for thee. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and Governor Hobbs this week is also saying that she's not going to hand over any information on people getting food stamps here in Arizona. Look, the Trump administration has been demanding that kind of information, and he's threatening funding to states that do that. Is this something the governor may end up regretting?
Well, no. The governor's not going to regret it because it's popular with her party to withhold that information. So she's not going to regret it. The problem is there is federal money that participates in this program. So I would make the argument that the federal government, because I'm paying for it, is entitled to that information. However, I will also say that a lawsuit will probably ensue, and it's not going to go well because you don't just get to pick it based on Democratic governors of these states, which was his announcement. What you've got to do is make sure it pertains to every single state in the union.
All right, and let's wrap up. Just get your thoughts on this latest fight between Tom Horn, Chris Mays over ESAs and vouchers. This seems like the never-ending fight, and it's just everybody's saying, no, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong. It's like that meme with the spider all pointing at each other.
The superintendent of personality over there, I mean, he went and called the AG incompetent, which I thought was a little unfair. You pointed out that she is investigating these things. She knows how to do oversight. His office should follow suit, so we'll see that fight continue. But I didn't think that was a clean take on his part.
All right, well, I guess we're going to have to wrap it up right there. Sorry about that, Marcus. Next week, we'll get you the chance to finish to say what you wanted to say, but that's all the time we have. Be sure to join us next week for more Politics Unplugged. Good night.